Luna wiped down the same spot on the counter for the third time that evening. The old cloth moved in slow circles, her mind elsewhere as the clock above the espresso machine ticked closer to 10 o'clock. Outside, the rain had started again, turning the streetlights into blurry halos through the coffee shop windows. She loved these quiet moments at the end of the day. The last customers had left an hour ago, and now it was just her and the gentle hum of the refrigerator. Her grandmother's coffee shop had always felt like a sanctuary, even more so since she had taken it over 2 years ago. The worn wooden floors creaked in all the familiar places, and the mismatched chairs told stories of countless conversations over steaming cups. But tonight felt different. The bills were piling up again, and the big coffee chain down the street was stealing more customers each week. Luna pushed the worry aside and focused on cleaning. Grandmother Rosa always said that a clean shop was a happy shop, and Luna needed all the happiness she could get these days. At exactly 9:47, the front door chimed. Luna looked up, already knowing who it would be. The same man who had been coming in every single night for the past 2 weeks. He stepped inside, shaking raindrops from his dark coat, and gave her that small, polite smile that never quite reached his eyes. "Good evening," he said, his voice warm but tired. "The usual?" Luna asked, already reaching for a cup. He nodded and moved to his regular spot by the window. Always the same booth, always facing the street? Luna had started to wonder what he was looking for out there, or maybe what he was trying to avoid looking at inside. She made his coffee exactly how he liked it. Black, no sugar, but not bitter. She had figured out the perfect blend after watching his face those first few nights. He never complained, but she could tell when something was just right by the way his shoulders relaxed when he took that first sip. "Here you go," she said, setting the cup down carefully. "Thank you." He looked up at her, and for a moment something flickered in his eyes. Curiosity maybe, or loneliness. "You know, you make the best coffee I've ever had." Luna felt her cheeks warm. "My grandmother taught me. She said the secret was to treat each cup like you were making it for someone you cared about." She sounds like a wise woman. She was. Luna glanced around the little shop. This was all hers. Every recipe, every decoration, even these old chairs that should have been replaced years ago. The man followed her gaze, taking in the faded photos on the walls and the hand-painted menu board behind the counter. "It has character," he said. "You don't find places like this anymore." There was something in his voice that made Luna look at him more closely. He was probably in his early 30s, with kind eyes that seemed to carry more weight than they should. His clothes were nice, really nice, but he wore them like he wasn't trying to impress anyone. The watch on his wrist caught the light when he reached for his coffee, and Luna noticed it looked expensive, though he kept pulling his sleeve down to cover it. "Are you from around here?" Luna asked, surprising herself. She usually kept conversations with customers short and polite, but something about this man made her want to know more. "Not originally," he said. "I live across town now. I like the neighborhood." Luna nodded, understanding that he didn't want to share more. Everyone had their secrets, and she respected that. But she couldn't help wondering what brought a man who could clearly afford to live anywhere to her little coffee shop every single night. She returned to cleaning, stealing glances at him while he sipped his coffee and stared out the window. The rain was getting heavier, drumming against the glass like tiny fingers asking to come inside. Most people would be hurrying home by now, eager to get out of the weather. But he seemed in no rush at all. What Luna didn't know was that across town, in a glass tower that scraped the sky, Alex Mitchell's name was on the door of the biggest office on the top floor. She had no idea that the quiet man in the corner booth controlled a company worth hundreds of millions of dollars, or that his phone had been buzzing all evening with calls he was choosing to ignore. Alex took another sip of coffee and felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. This little shop had become his escape, the only place where nobody knew who he was or what they wanted from him. No board members demanding answers, no assistants scheduling his life down to the minute, no nannies giving him updates about his 7-year-old daughter Sophie's day. Just coffee and the gentle presence of a woman who treated him like he was nobody special. It was exactly what he needed. He thought about Sophie, probably already asleep in her room 3 floors up from his penthouse office. The nanny would have read her a story and tucked her in, just like every other night for the past 3 years. Ever since Caroline died, Alex had been struggling to figure out how to be both a father and the head of a company that employed thousands of people. The coffee shop was his 20 minutes of peace between the chaos of work and the guilt of coming home to a daughter who was growing up too fast while he was trapped in meetings. Luna had no idea that her simple kindness was the best part of his day. More coffee? Luna asked softly, not wanting to startle him. Alex looked down at his empty cup, surprised. He had been lost in thought longer than usual. No, thank you. I should probably head home. He pulled out his wallet and left exact change plus a generous tip, just like always. Luna noticed he never seemed to worry about money, counting out bills without even looking at them. Drive safe, she said. The rain's getting worse. I will. Thank you for staying open late. Luna watched him walk to the door, then pause with his hand on the handle. For a moment she thought he might turn around and say something more, but he just pulled his coat tighter and stepped out into the rain. She locked the door behind him and watched through the window as he walked to a dark car parked down the street. Even in the rain, she could tell it was expensive. The kind of car that cost more than she made in a year. Luna finished cleaning and turned off the lights, but she couldn't stop thinking about her mysterious regular customer. There was something about him that made her heart beat a little faster. Something that made her look forward to 9:47 every evening. As she climbed the stairs to her small apartment above the shop, Luna had no idea that her quiet life was about to change in ways she never could have imagined. She had no idea that the lonely man who came for coffee every night was falling in love with her kindness, or that he had the power to save her struggling business with a single phone call. All she knew was that tomorrow night, she would make his coffee exactly the way he liked it, and maybe, just maybe, they would talk a little longer. 3 weeks had passed since Alex started coming to Luna's coffee shop, and their conversations had grown from polite exchanges to something that felt almost like friendship. Luna found herself looking forward to those 20 minutes each evening more than she cared to admit. "How was your day?" she asked as she prepared his usual black coffee. It had become their routine now, this simple question that somehow felt important. Alex settled into his booth and rubbed his temples. Long meetings, difficult decisions. He looked up at her with tired eyes. "What about you? How's business?" Luna hesitated, the coffee pot still in her hand. She hadn't told anyone about the problem she was facing, but something about Alex made her want to share the burden. Maybe it was the way he really listened when she spoke, or how he never seemed to judge anything she said. Honestly, not great, she admitted, bringing his coffee over. "The big chain down the street is taking most of my customers. People want their coffee fast and cheap, you know? They don't really care about the story behind it." Alex frowned. "But your coffee is so much better than theirs. And this place has soul. That has to count for something." "You'd think so." Luna sat down across from him, something she had never done before. "My grandmother built this place from nothing. She used to say that every cup of coffee was a chance to make someone's day a little brighter. But maybe that's old-fashioned thinking now." "It's not old-fashioned," Alex said quietly. "The world needs more places like this. More people like you." Luna felt her cheeks warm at the compliment. She studied his face, noticing again how his expensive clothes didn't quite match the humble way he carried himself. "What kind of business are you in, anyway?" Alex's hand moved instinctively to cover his watch. "Management. Corporate stuff. Pretty boring, really." Luna nodded, but she was starting to notice things. The way he sometimes got phone calls in what sounded like different languages. How he never seemed worried about money when he paid. The expensive car she had glimpsed him getting into. And most telling of all, the way he dodged questions about his work. "Do you have family?" Luna asked, changing the subject when she saw him shift uncomfortably. Alex's whole face softened. "A daughter, Sophie. She's 7, and she's the most important thing in my life. She's lucky to have a dad who cares so much about her. I hope so." Alex looked out the window at the evening traffic. "It's been just the two of us for a few years now. My wife died when Sophie was 4, cancer." Luna's heart ached for him. "I'm so sorry." "Thank you. It's been hard, but Sophie is strong. Stronger than me most days." He smiled sadly. "She keeps asking why I work so much. I keep telling her it's to take care of her, but sometime. I wonder if I'm just hiding from how quiet the house gets when she's asleep." Luna understood that feeling more than he knew. The apartment above the coffee shop could feel very lonely at night. "Maybe you should bring her by sometime. I make pretty good hot chocolate." Alex's eyes lit up. "She would love that. She's always asking about where I go every night." I told her about a nice lady who makes the best coffee in the city. You told her about me? Of course. You're becoming a pretty important part of my day. Luna's heart skipped a beat. But before she could respond, a customer walked in. A businessman in a hurry, tapping his foot impatiently while she made his order. After he left, the moment felt different, and they talked about safer things until Alex had to leave. That Saturday afternoon, Alex walked through the door with a small girl who had his kind eyes and curly brown hair. Sophie looked around the coffee shop with wonder, taking in every detail like she was exploring a magical kingdom. "This is Luna," Alex said, his hand resting protectively on his daughter's shoulder. "Luna, this is Sophie." "Hi, Sophie," Luna said, crouching down to the girl's level. "Your dad tells me you might like hot chocolate." Sophie nodded eagerly. "With marshmallows?" "Of course, but I have something even better than regular marshmallows. My grandmother taught me how to make special ones that taste like vanilla clouds." While Luna prepared the drinks, Sophie peppered her with questions. Where did she learn to make coffee? Did she live in the shop? Why were all the chairs different colors? Alex watched with amazement as his usually shy daughter chatted away like she had known Luna for years. "Can I help?" Sophie asked when Luna started arranging pastries in the display case. "I'd love some help. But first you need to wash your hands. Being a coffee shop assistant is serious business." Sophie giggled and ran to the bathroom. Alex stood up and walked over to the counter. "She likes you," he said softly. "I like her too. She's special. She doesn't usually warm up to people so quickly. You have a gift with kids." Luna felt a flutter in her chest at the way Alex was looking at her. There was something different in his eyes today, something warmer and more open than she had seen before. Over the next hour, Sophie helped arrange pastries, learned how to steam milk without actually touching the machine, and listened with wide eyes as Luna told stories about her grandmother's adventures running the coffee shop. Alex watched them together, and Luna noticed how relaxed he looked, how he actually laughed at his daughter's silly jokes. "Can we come back next week?" Sophie asked as they prepared to leave. "You're welcome anytime," Luna said, meaning it completely. After they left, Luna found herself humming while she cleaned up. The coffee shop felt brighter somehow, filled with the echoes of laughter and conversation. She was starting to care about Alex and Sophie more than was probably wise, but she couldn't help herself. Over the following weeks, their Saturday visits became as regular as Alex's nightly coffee runs. Sophie would burst through the door with news about school or stories about her friends, while Alex would sit at the counter and actually smile while watching them together. Luna began to notice how other customers reacted when Alex was there. A few times she caught people staring at him with recognition in their eyes, though they never approached. Once a woman in an expensive suit did a double take when she saw him, but quickly left without ordering anything. "Do people recognize you?" Luna asked one evening after the woman incident. Alex tensed. "Sometimes. I have one of those faces, I guess." Luna knew he wasn't telling her the whole truth, but she also knew better than to push. Everyone had secrets. The question was whether his secrets would matter to what was growing between them. What she didn't know was that Alex was falling in love with her kindness, her genuine nature, and the way she made both him and Sophie feel like they belonged somewhere. And what terrified him most was that soon, he would have to decide whether to risk everything by telling her who he really was. Luna stared at the official-looking envelope in her hands, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The morning had started like any other, with a familiar routine of grinding coffee beans and arranging pastries. But now everything felt different. The letterhead read Metropolitan Development Group, and the words inside made her stomach drop. 30 days notice. Building sold. Immediate renovation required. Please vacate by the 1st of next month. She read it 3 times, hoping the words would somehow change, but they stayed the same. Cold. Final. Devastating. Luna sank onto one of the mismatched chairs her grandmother had loved so much and let the letter fall to her lap. 30 days to find a new location or lose everything. The coffee shop that had been in her family for 40 years, the place where she had learned to walk and talk and dream, was about to become another glass tower or luxury apartment building. The day passed in a blur. Customers came and went, but Luna could barely focus on their orders. Her hands shook as she made coffee, and she had to remake Mrs. Peterson's latte twice because she kept forgetting the sugar. Every corner of the shop reminded her of her grandmother, and now it was all going to be torn down. By evening, she was emotionally drained. When Alex walked through the door at his usual time, Luna almost started crying just from seeing his familiar face. "Hey," he said softly, immediately noticing something was wrong. "What happened?" Luna wordlessly handed him the letter. Alex read it carefully, his jaw tightening with each line. When he finished, he looked up at her with such concern that she had to look away. "Luna, I'm so sorry. This is terrible. I don't know what I'm going to do," she whispered. "I can't afford to rent somewhere else, especially not with first month's rent and a security deposit. And even if I could, it wouldn't be the same. This place is my grandmother's legacy." Alex set the letter down and reached across to squeeze her hand. "There has to be something we can do. Maybe we can fight this. Have you talked to a lawyer?" "With what money?" Luna laughed bitterly. "I can barely keep up with the bills as it is. These big development companies have teams of lawyers. What chance would I have?" Alex wanted to tell her that he could help, that he could make all of this disappear with a single phone call. But how could he explain that without revealing who he really was? And what would she think of him then? Instead, he stayed with her long past closing time, helping her clean up while she talked through her options. There weren't many. She could try to find a small business loan, but banks weren't exactly eager to lend money to struggling coffee shops. She could look for a cheaper location, but the rent would still be more than she was paying now. "Maybe it's a sign," Luna said as she locked up. "Maybe I'm supposed to do something else with my life." "Don't say that," Alex said firmly. "This place matters. You matter. Don't let some heartless corporation take away your dreams." After Luna went upstairs to her apartment, Alex sat in his car for a long time, staring at the little coffee shop that had become so important to him. He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Jennifer, it's Alex. I need you to research something for me. Metropolitan Development Group. Find out everything you can about their current projects, especially anything involving small businesses or historic buildings." His assistant was used to unusual requests, but she sounded surprised. "Is this related to the Henderson account?" "No, this is personal." "And Jennifer?" "I need this first thing tomorrow morning." Alex drove home to his penthouse, but he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the devastation in Luna's eyes, the way her hands had shaken when she held that letter, somewhere in his building. Sophie was probably having nightmares again, and here he was, helpless to fix either of the most important problems in his life. The next morning, Jennifer's report was waiting on his desk, and what Alex read made his blood run cold. Metropolitan Development Group was a subsidiary of Mitchell Industries. His company. He was the reason Luna was losing her coffee shop. Alex stared at the documents, his mind reeling. 3 months ago, he had approved a redevelopment project for that neighborhood, without paying attention to the details. It was just another investment opportunity, another way to maximize profits from undervalued real estate. He never thought about the small businesses that would be destroyed or the families who would lose their livelihoods. Now, the woman he was falling in love with was about to lose everything because of a decision he had made in a boardroom, probably while thinking about something else entirely. Alex called an emergency meeting with his development team. Within 2 hours, he had restructured the entire project. The coffee shop and 3 other small businesses would be preserved, integrated into the new design as ground floor retail spaces. It would cost millions more and completely change their timeline, but Alex didn't care. "Sir, the investors are going to ask questions," his project manager warned. "This is a significant change to our approved plans." "Then tell them it's for community relations," Alex said. "Tell them we want to preserve the neighborhood's character. Tell them whatever you want, but make it happen." That evening, Alex walked into the coffee shop with a heavy heart. He had saved Luna's business, but he couldn't tell her about it. How could he explain that he was the reason she had almost lost everything in the first place? Luna looked up from wiping down tables, and Alex could see she had been crying. "I called every bank in the city today," she said without preamble. "No one will give me a loan." "I guess I really am closing down." Alex's phone buzzed. A text message from his assistant. "MDG just announced project changes. Coffee shop is safe." "Luna," Alex said carefully, "maybe you should check the news. Sometimes these development companies change their minds." Luna gave him a confused look but pulled out her phone. After a few minutes of searching, her face went from confusion to disbelief to pure joy. "They're keeping the building," she screamed, jumping up and down. "They're keeping the coffee shop." "Oh my God, Alex, they're actually keeping it." She threw her arms around him and Alex held her tight, feeling like the biggest fraud in the world. She was so happy, so grateful to whoever had saved her business, and she had no idea it was him. "I can't believe it," Luna said, pulling back to look at him with tears of joy streaming down her face. "Someone up there must be looking out for me." "Yeah," Alex said quietly. "Someone." As Luna celebrated, calling her friends to share the good news, Alex realized he was in deeper trouble than ever. He had fallen completely in love with a woman who didn't even know his real name, and now he had saved her business with money she didn't know he had. The longer he waited to tell her the truth, the worse it would be when she eventually found out. But looking at her radiant smile, Alex couldn't bring himself to ruin her happiness. Not tonight. Maybe tomorrow he would find the courage to tell her everything. Maybe tomorrow he would risk losing the only real thing in his life for the chance at something honest. 2 months had passed since the coffee shop was saved, and Luna felt like she was living in a dream. Business was better than ever. Word had spread about the little shop that had survived against all odds. And best of all, Alex had become so much more than just her evening regular. It started with small touches, his hand brushing hers when she gave him his coffee, the way he would find excuses to stay longer each night, helping her stack chairs or clean the espresso machine, the evening when it was raining so hard that he offered to drive her home, and they ended up sitting in his car talking until midnight. Last Sunday, he had brought Sophie for their regular visit, but this time they stayed for lunch. Luna taught Sophie how to make heart shapes in the coffee foam, while Alex watched with such tenderness that Luna's chest felt tight with emotion. When Sophie asked if Luna could come have dinner at their house sometime, Alex didn't hesitate to say yes. "I'd love that," Luna had said, and meant it completely. Tonight felt different as soon as Alex walked through the door. He seemed nervous, fidgeting with his sleeve and running his hand through his hair. Luna had learned to read his moods over these past months, and something was clearly bothering him. "Everything okay?" she asked as she prepared his coffee. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something." Alex took a deep breath. "Luna, these past few months have been the best part of my life. You in this place, you've made me remember who I want to be when I'm not just working all the time." Luna's heart started beating faster. "Alex, I know this might complicate things, but I have to tell you how I feel." He stood up and walked over to the counter where she was standing. "I'm falling in love with you. Actually, I think I already have fallen in love with you." Luna looked into his eyes and saw nothing but honesty and hope. Without overthinking it, she reached up and kissed him softly. He tasted like coffee and promises, and when they broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. "I love you too," she whispered. "I have for weeks now." They held each other in the quiet coffee shop, surrounded by the smell of coffee beans and the memories her grandmother had left behind. For a moment, everything felt perfect, but Alex couldn't enjoy the moment completely. The weight of everything he hadn't told her sat heavy in his chest. Every time Luna talked about being grateful to whoever had saved her shop, every time she wondered aloud about his mysterious job, every time Sophie almost slipped and mentioned something about their big house or Daddy's important work, Alex felt the lies piling up around him. Over the next few weeks, their relationship deepened. Alex would come by during lunch sometimes just to steal a few minutes with Luna between customers. She met him for coffee at other places around the city, laughing when he complained that nothing tasted as good as what she made. They talked about everything and nothing, sharing stories about their childhoods and their dreams for the future. But the deception was eating away at Alex. He started making mistakes at work, forgetting important meetings and losing focus during phone calls. His assistant commented that he seemed distracted. Sophie asked why he looked sad sometimes when he thought no one was watching. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening when Luna was cleaning up after closing. She had borrowed Alex's jacket earlier when the air conditioning broke, and as she was hanging it up behind the counter, a business card fell out of the pocket. Luna picked it up, expecting to see some generic company card. Instead, she found herself staring at elegant gold lettering that read, "Alexander Mitchell, Chief Executive Officer, Mitchell Industries." Her hands started shaking. Mitchell Industries was one of the biggest companies in the city. She had seen their name in the newspaper dozens of times, and suddenly everything made sense. The expensive car, the designer clothes he tried to downplay, the way he never worried about money, the phone calls in different languages. Luna sank into a chair, the business card still in her trembling hands. The man she had fallen in love with wasn't just hiding his job from her. He was one of the most powerful people in the city, and she had no idea why he would want to be with someone like her. But then a worse thought occurred to her. She pulled out her phone and searched for Mitchell Industries Metropolitan Development. The results made her stomach drop to her feet. Mitchell Industries owned Metropolitan Development Group. The company that had tried to tear down her coffee shop was part of Alex's empire. And suddenly, the miraculous way her building had been saved didn't seem so miraculous anymore. When Alex walked through the door at his usual time, Luna was waiting for him with the business card on the counter between them. "We need to talk," she said quietly. Alex saw the card and felt all the color drain from his face. "Luna, I can explain. Can you? Because I've been sitting here for 2 hours trying to understand how the man I love could lie to me about everything." Her voice was steady, but Alex could see the hurt in her eyes. Alexander Mitchell, CEO of one of the biggest companies in the city, the same company that owns Metropolitan Development. Alex stepped closer, but Luna held up her hand to stop him. "You saved my coffee shop, didn't you? It wasn't some miracle or change of heart from the development company. It was you." "Yes," Alex said quietly. "But Luna, you have to understand." "Understand what?" "That you've been lying to me from the very first day? That every conversation we've had has been based on deception?" Luna's voice was getting louder now, months of trust crumbling in real time. "What was this, Alex? Some kind of game for you? The rich CEO pretending to be a regular guy so he can play house with the poor coffee shop owner?" "No," Alex said desperately. "It wasn't like that. I never meant for any of this to happen. I just wanted to be somewhere where nobody knew who I was. But I didn't know who you were, and you let me fall in love with someone who doesn't exist." Tears were streaming down Luna's face now. "Do you have any idea how stupid I feel right now? All those nights I worried about you, wondered about your life, wished I could do something to help with whatever was making you sad. And the whole time you were just slumming it with the little people." "That's not true," Alex pleaded. "Every conversation we had was real. My feelings for you are real. Sophie adores you. This place, what we have together, it's the most honest thing in my life." "Honest?" Luna laughed bitterly. "You don't even know what that word means. You saved my business and then watched me thank God and the universe while you sat there knowing it was you. How could you do that to someone you claimed to love?" Alex had no answer that wouldn't sound like an excuse. He had done exactly what she was accusing him of, and now he was watching the best thing in his life fall apart because of his own cowardice. "I want you to leave," Luna said finally. "And I don't want you to come back. Luna, please, give me a chance to make this right." "There is no making this right, Alex. Or Alexander. I don't even know what to call you anymore." She turned away from him, unable to look at his face. "Just go." Alex stood there for another moment, wanting to fight for her, wanting to make her understand. But he could see that anything he said right now would only make things worse, so he walked to the door, his heart breaking with every step. "For what it's worth," he said quietly before leaving, "I never meant to hurt you, and everything I told you about loving you was true." The door closed behind him, and Luna was alone with her broken heart and the bitter taste of betrayal. Alex stared out the window of his penthouse office, watching the city lights blur together through the rain. 3 weeks had passed since Luna had asked him to leave, and he felt like he was drowning. He had respected her wishes completely. Not even driving past the coffee shop, but the absence of her in his life left a hole that nothing else could fill. "Daddy, you're sad again," Sophie said from the doorway of his office. Alex turned around and tried to smile for his daughter, but he knew she could see right through him. Sophie had always been too perceptive for her own good. "I'm okay, sweetheart. Just thinking about work stuff." Sophie walked over and climbed onto his lap, something she hadn't done in months. At 7 years old, she was getting too big for lap sitting, but tonight she seemed to sense he needed the comfort as much as she did. "Is it because you can't see Luna anymore?" Alex's heart clenched. "What makes you say that?" "Because we haven't been to the coffee shop and you get that same look you had when Mommy got sick." Sophie studied his face with serious eyes. "Did you and Luna have a fight?" Alex didn't know how to explain adult complications to a 7-year-old. "Something like that. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes and it takes time to fix them." "Did you say sorry?" "I tried to, but Luna is very hurt right now. She needs space." Sophie was quiet for a long moment, thinking in that intense way that reminded Alex so much of her mother. Maybe you didn't say sorry the right way. Before Alex could ask what she meant, his phone buzzed with a text from his assistant. The quarterly board meeting had been moved to tomorrow morning, and he still hadn't reviewed the financial reports. But for the first time in his career, Alex didn't care about the meeting or the reports or any of it. Meanwhile, across town, Luna was having her own struggles. The coffee shop felt empty without Alex's nightly visits, and she found herself looking at the door every evening at 9:47, half expecting him to walk through. She hated that she missed him. She hated that she still loved him despite everything. Her friend Katie had stopped by earlier to check on her, and Luna had finally told her the whole story. "So let me get this straight," Katie had said, stirring her latte thoughtfully. "The guy you're in love with is actually a millionaire who secretly saved your business, and you're mad about it?" "He lied to me about everything," Luna had protested. "How am I supposed to trust someone who could keep such huge secrets?" "But did he lie about the important stuff? About caring for you? About wanting to be here every night?" Luna hadn't had a good answer for that. Late at night, when the shop was quiet and she was alone with her thoughts, she kept coming back to the look in Alex's eyes when he told her he loved her. That hadn't felt like a lie. The breakthrough came on a Saturday afternoon when Luna was experimenting with a new pastry recipe. She heard the familiar chime of the front door and looked up, expecting a regular customer. Instead, she found Sophie standing there alone, looking uncertain but determined. "Sophie?" Luna rushed around the counter. "Honey, where's your dad?" "He's in the car outside. He doesn't know I came in." Sophie took a deep breath like she was preparing for something important. "I need to talk to you about my daddy." Luna glanced out the window and saw Alex's car parked across the street. Even from this distance, she could see him leaning forward, probably panicking about where Sophie had gone. "Sophie, you shouldn't be here by yourself." "Please," Sophie interrupted. "Just listen for a minute, okay?" Luna nodded and knelt down to Sophie's level. "My daddy has been really sad since you two had your fight. He doesn't eat very much and he works all the time. And sometimes I hear him talking to Mommy's picture about how he messed up the best thing that happened to us since she died." Luna felt her heart crack a little. "He talks to your mom's picture?" Sophie nodded seriously. "He tells her about you all the time. About how you make him laugh and how you're teaching me to make coffee art and how much he loves the way you take care of people." Sophie paused. "He never told Mommy's picture about anyone else before you." Luna had to wipe away tears she didn't even realize had started falling. "Sophie, your dad hurt me by not telling me the truth about who he was. But he did tell you the truth about the important stuff," Sophie said, sounding much older than 7. "He told you about Mommy dying and about being lonely and about loving me more than anything. Those are the biggest truths he has." Luna looked at this wise little girl and saw so much of Alex in her earnest expression. "He told you his name was Alex, but his real name is Alexander," Sophie continued. "And he told you he works in business, which is true because he runs a really big business. And he told you he loves you, which is the most true thing of all. How do you know all this?" "Because I listen when grown-ups think I'm not paying attention. And because I know my daddy. He's not a liar, Luna. He's just scared sometimes." Through the window, Luna could see Alex getting out of his car, clearly worried about Sophie. Luna made a quick decision. "Sophie, go tell your dad to come inside. I think we need to have a talk." Sophie's face lit up. "Really? Really? But we need to have an honest conversation this time. No more secrets." Sophie ran outside, and Luna watched as she grabbed Alex's hand and pulled him toward the coffee shop. Alex looked terrified and hopeful at the same time. When they walked through the door, Luna's heart did that familiar flip it always did when she saw him. He looked tired and worried, but when their eyes met, she saw the same man who had been coming to her shop every night for months. The same man who had held her while she cried about losing the business. The same man who had watched his daughter with such love that it made Luna's chest tight with emotion. "Hi," Alex said quietly. "Hi," Luna replied. Sophie looked between them and then announced, "I'm going to sit over there and color while you two talk about grown-up stuff." She settled into a booth with some crayons Luna kept for young customers. Alex and Luna stood facing each other across the counter, the same counter where they had shared so many conversations, the same place where she had discovered his business card. "I'm sorry," Alex said. I'm sorry I lied to you, and I'm sorry I let you think I was someone I wasn't. But Luna, I need you to know that every feeling I shared with you was real. Every moment we spent together was the most honest part of my day. Luna studied his face, looking for any sign of deception. All she saw was regret and love and hope. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I was terrified that you'd see me differently, that you'd wonder if I was just playing games with you, or if I thought you weren't good enough for my real world. Alex's voice broke a little, and because for the first time in years I got to be just Alex. Not the CEO, not the single dad who had everything figured out, just a guy who fell in love with a woman who made incredible coffee and had the kindest heart I'd ever known. Luna walked around the counter until she was standing right in front of him. Promise me something, she said. Anything. Promise me no more secrets. No more hiding who you are or what you're thinking. If we're going to try this, I need complete honesty. I promise, Alex said without hesitation. Luna, I love you. I love the way you hum while you work. And I love how you remember everyone's coffee order. And I love that you taught my daughter that marshmallows can taste like vanilla clouds. I love that you make me want to be the kind of man who deserves you. Luna reached up and touched his face gently. I love you too. The real you. All of you. When Alex kissed her, Sophie cheered from her booth, and Luna laughed against his lips. 6 months later, Luna expanded the coffee shop into the space next door, with Alex as her business partner and biggest supporter. Sophie had her own apron and helped on weekends, and Alex still came every evening for his black coffee, though now he stayed much longer than 20 minutes. Their story had started with secrets and almost ended with them, but in the end, it was built on something much stronger: truth, forgiveness, and the kind of love that grows from seeing someone exactly as they are and choosing them anyway.